Hi everyone. So in today's video we will study about pull-up circuit and how do we take inputs from pull-up and the coding. So coding is not almost exactly the same. So in the last video we studied about pull-down, right? So as a digital input method or where we give a particular input, particular state as a default state for a pin. So pull up is also another way of giving a default state of the pin. Actually the same way, but the state is the difference. So in simple word, the difference between pull down and pull up is, in pull down what we do is we make the initial state as 0, okay, of the pin, and we change the state according to the input. According to the input, the state may change. In pull up we do the other way around. First we make the initial state as plus 5 voltage, and according to the input that state may change. So if it is a button, then when you press the button, that state will change. When you release it, the state will come to the initial state. If it is a sensor, then it doesn't matter, whatever the input that will be fine. So in simple word, in pull down circuit, the initial state of the pin is ground. In pull up circuit, the initial state of the pin is plus 5 voltage. Okay. So if somebody asks you about what about pull down switch circuit, that means pull down and a switch, then you can say initial state of the pin is ground. When you press a switch, it will become 5 voltage. When you release the switch, it will go back to ground. When somebody asks you about pull up switching circuit, that means pull up circuit along with switch, no input sensors. Okay, instead of sensors we have switch. Pull up switching circuit, you will say the initial state of the Arduino pin is plus 5 volt, and when we press the switch, it will become ground. Then if you release the switch, it will again become plus 5. That is a simple thing. So anyway, those we said it, we will study that pull up circuit, how it is designed, and we will learn the basics. So if you don't watch the previous video on pull down, I want you to go back and watch that previous video in the playlist and come back here, because all the basics are there. Here I will only say how the pull up is different from pull down one. So you know the pull down circuit, right? Okay. So if you look at this picture, I will minimize this again. So you can see this is the pull up circuit. So it is the same circuit of pull down actually, right? You see the pin, a wire is coming out of the pin and a resistor, and the resistor go to plus 5 and the button goes to ground. So what is the difference? In the pull down, this is pull up circuit, okay? In the pull down circuit we studied in the last video, the same circuit, but the end of the resistor, that means a point A, that means a wire is coming from pin number 2, a resistor is there. The resistor is there, and the resistor goes to ground in the pull down circuit. But in the pull up circuit, the resistor goes to 5 voltage. So then what will happen? We initially make the pin as 5 voltage, that's all. And also the other side of the push button, in the pull down circuit it was going to plus 5, here it is going to ground. That is the only change. So simply what we mean is, we switch the terminals. So in the pull down circuit, this 5 volt was ground, and this switch was this ground was 5 volt. In the pull up circuit, the ground become 5 voltage and the 5 voltage become ground. That's all. There is nothing else. So the best thing is go watch that video and come back to this video. So now we will analyze this. The circuit is same, so I am not going to explain the circuit again. Circuit is same. So this video will complete only if you watch the previous video, right? So now what are the state of the A, B and C? A is 5 voltage obviously, when the push button is not there, right? When the button is not pressed there. So when the button is not pressed, so A is plus 5, and there is no current running, because whatever the plus 5, the current that can go from plus 5, there is no way to come back to the ground. Or let's say there is no way to come back to the Arduino come back to the same source. So anyway, this plus 5 is also we are taking from Arduino. The resistor is going to Arduino's plus 5. That is fine. So there is no current is going. I explained you why in the last video, so you know that, right? So no current is going through ABC path. So we can assume the current means I is 0. So in V is equal to I into R, where V is voltage, I is current, R is resistance, I is 0. So I into R is 0. So V is 0. So what is the V? R is this resistor value, right? So the V, now V is equal to I into R, I is 0, then the resistor value, if you multiply the 0 by the resistor value, the total value is 0. So V is equal to I into R. So V value itself is now 0. So you know the Ohm's law, right? V is equal to IR. So since there's no current, the voltage value is 0. So what does it mean is the voltage drop across the resistor is 0. So the same voltage in the A will be in the B because there is no voltage drop. So A is 5 voltage, B is 5 voltage, and since C is also the same connection, C is 5 voltage. So the Arduino's pin number 2 initially will be 5 voltage. That means high state. Or also we can say 1. Okay, digital 1. So then we have the push button here. So what we do is we don't press the push button. So let's say we are pressing the push button at some point. So when you press the push button, what happens is the connection between B and D is created. Okay, B and D is created. So let's say you are keep it pushing, right? You have pushed it and you are keeping the hand in a pushed position. So what will happen is this end is ground. So E is ground. E and D was already ground, right? So E is ground and D is ground. So the connection is created. So B also become ground. Okay, now B become ground, C also ground, that is fine. But we see that B is ground because B was 5 voltage at the initial state. Now it is ground. So what happened to the 5 voltage? A still remains in the 5 voltage because there is resistor. So what happens in the 5 voltage is all the 5 voltage will drop down within the resistor. So that is why we have a resistor. In the previous video also I said, otherwise if you don't have the resistor, there will be a short circuit if you press the switch. So now the resistor will prevent the short circuit by bearing the 5 voltage within itself. So B is the ground, C is also ground. A will be 5 voltage. So this is understandable. If you don't understand this, please go to the previous video, watch that and come back to this video and watch it again. You will understand. So initially A is 5 voltage, B is 5 voltage, C is 5 voltage because there is no current running. Now and D and E were ground, that is obvious. And now if you press the button, E, D ground, B is also ground because there is a connection, direct connection. C is also ground and A will be 5 voltage, and the resistor will take that total voltage within itself, total 5 voltage, and there will be a current running from A to C. A to C, A to B or A to C, because we have +5 and ground. Current will run from +5 to ground, and the +5 and ground terminals also we are using Arduino. That means from pin number point D we are taking a wire and connect to Arduino's ground, so that is ground. And also from point A we take a wire and connect to Arduino's +5, that is +5. So current will run from +5 to ground, that is obvious. So you can analyze that, and you can even calculate the current value that is running because V is 5 voltage, and you know the resistor value, whatever the resistor value you are using, let's say 10 kilo ohm or 20 kilo ohm or 1 kilo ohm or something, and you can calculate the current value also. So that doesn't make sense to us because we are not worrying about that. So we only want to know how these voltage values are changes when you press the button. So when you press the button, obviously C becomes ground, right? C is our input to the Arduino pin because that is the point where the wire is going inside the pin. So if you don't press the push button, it is 5 voltage. If you press the push button, it is ground. That input is ground. Okay, the point number C is ground. So this is pull-up circuit. Okay, so by pressing the switch, you are making that particular pin to ground state so that we understand. Okay, when the ground comes, we understand that the customer is pressing the switch. You get the point. So in pull down circuit, now you can compare it with pull down circuit. You can draw that as well and compare. In the pull down circuit, it was initially ground, and if you press the push button, it become +5. So if in the pull down circuit, we will understand the switch is pressed only when the +5 is coming inside, high voltage is coming inside, high state is. But in pull up, only when the low state is coming inside, we will understand, okay, button is pressed. You understand what is the concern? So this is very, very important. Okay, low or ground. Okay, so I still tell you, go watch my previous video and come back to this video, then only you will understand what actually happens. So in the previous video, I clearly explained how even this circuit is built. So now here I have only the full circuit, but in the previous videos, I explained it in 3 steps as well. So that will be more clear to you. So go watch that and come back here. That pull down video, and come back to the pull up video. So this is what we call pull up. And this diagram is showing us the graph. So initially the state of the pin is at 5 voltage. That is also can be called as high or 1. Okay. So 1 means high. Voltage is 5. So initially the pin is remaining at 5 voltage. Why? Because you can see if you don't press the switch, the pin number C will be 5. A, B, C all will be 5. I explained that because there is no current running. So then if you press the switch, you see this. Press the switch, what will happen is this C will suddenly become ground, C and B. so the input will become ground. So that is the state of the pin. The pin state will become ground. So if you release the switch again there will be no connection between B and D. So what will happen is basically the ground will be in D and D. So the A's plus 5 will be in point A, B and C. That means the system will come its initial state. There is no current running, so everywhere plus 5 will be there throughout A, B, C. So C will be plus 5 or high. So that is what happens when the switch is released. So you understand that, right? I am repeating it again and again. So this diagram also explaining the same thing. So you can just check that out. Initially the point of A is released mean. So you look at the other way around, right? I should have written the released in the first column and the pressed in the next column, but I wrote it the other way around, but you refer it this way. So when the button is released, these pin states are like this. So when the button is pressed, the pin states are like this. So I want you to go through this by yourself. I don't want to explain this also, because the same thing is here in the table form, diagram form. So you have to verify it with the system. So the first column of the pressed is first value of the pressed is 5 voltage. So please make sure please understand this is 5 voltage. Okay, so it may not be clear to you sometimes because I didn't write it properly. So the C, why did I mark C? C is the Arduino's input point. So in the pull-up circuit you can see, if you release the switch, okay, or let's say the switch is not pressed, the initial state of the pin is 5 voltage, because that is a pull-up circuit. And when the switch is pressed, the 5 voltage become ground, okay, to the point C. So point C is our input point. There's no doubt on that. So you can see this is the point C. So this is how we can analyze this. So now what I want you to do is, you want to go to pull down circuit and you have to compare this pull up circuit with pull down circuit, okay, so that you can have a complete idea of what actually happens. So the main difference is initial state of the pin and what happens when you push the button. So that is the only main difference. So now you will know in a pull down circuit, if the digital read input is high, what is the meaning of it, or if the digital read input value is low, what is the meaning of it. And also now you understand in the pull up circuit, if the digital read input value is high, what is the meaning, and if the digital read input value is low, what is the meaning. That means whether the button is pressed or not. Because let's say we are not looking at the button is somewhere else. We are only seeing that input values of the particular pin in the display. So we should know, if high comes, what is the meaning of that, if low comes, what is the meaning of that. And also we should be aware about whether it is pull down or pull up circuit, then only we can say it correctly. Okay, so I hope you can understand what I'm talking about. If you don't understand, just go watch the previous video and come back to this video. Okay, then you will get the point. So if you look at the coding is almost same, not almost same, exactly same. So whatever I had is now, oh my god, it's something else. Yeah, I will type this code very fast. I actually type that code, it went somewhere. So it's void setup, the same code, there's nothing to think over it. So I will write the code very fast. So what I will do is, I will first say pin mode number 2, let's say it can be any digital pin input. So same code, guys. So just go and watch the previous code, then you'll understand. This code also I explained in one of the previous video, and also in void loop. I'm not going to explain the code because I have explained it, I think more than two times like this, minimum of 2 times I have explained it. So I'm not going to repeat it, there's no point of doing that. So if you don't understand, you have to go and watch the video and come back, right? So let's say an integer called x is digital read. You know what digital read is now, right? Digital read pin number 2. So pin number 2's digital read value is what? That is the digital input value of pin number 2. So I will define the x as integer. So you know why I am defining the x as integer. I already said you this is 1 or 0. So if you don't understand, you have to go watch the previous videos and come back. So x means because we take it 1 or 0, Arduino will take it as 1 or 0. So 1 means high, that also means 5 voltage, and 0 means low, that also means ground. Okay, so then you have to serial print this. So let's say serial dot println x, right? So it's not hard, right? Because I am telling you the same thing again and again with small changes. So and also you have to mention the speed of the serial. You have to start the serial value beginning. So if you don't understand this, still you have to watch my previous videos, because I took a full session on serial communication, serial beginning and serial printing and all those things. Why we are writing one is inside setup loop and condition, and one is inside setup block, and one is inside loop block. So actually this is all. So what happens in this whatever we call particular line x is Okay, that's fine. X is line number 9 is we read the digital pin value and X assign it to X, and then we serial print the X value. So in the pull up circuit, the circuit now we studied, the initial state of the pin is what? High, right? So if you know, if you don't press the switch and if you look at your serial monitor, X will be high, or we can say 1. So 1 will be printed in the serial monitor. Okay, serial monitor, Arduino will take it as 1. Okay, consider it at 1. Arduino will consider it as 1. So 1 will be printed. If you press a switch, then 0 will be printed, because that is what I explained. If you press, the state of the pin 2 will become low or ground, that means 0. 0 will be printed, right? So you can see that change by pressing and releasing the switch immediately in the screen. So what will happen in the pull down circuit? The other way around, right? If you don't press the switch, it will be 0. If you press the switch, it will become 1. You understand what I'm talking about? So if you don't understand, go watch that previous video and come back to this video. So I don't want to waste much time on this video, because this is almost the same of the previous one, only the terminals are different, that's all. So now you know pull up and pull down circuits and how to play around with it and how to write a coding to read the values. And also focus more on the pull up circuit, because most probably we will proceed with pull up circuit only. I will tell you why it is also. So please watch the previous video and watch this video and have a full clear idea about what is happening. So I will catch you up in the next video. Until then, please consider subscribing us. Have a great day ahead. Bye.